Okay, welcome to my first video in Flight Simulator. We're going to be talking about power and throttle and what effect it has on the plane. This is going to be a real short video on how to take off without using a joystick or the keyboard. For those of you who are already advanced flyers, you're not going to get anything out of this. Thank you for watching. Basically, I'm talking to those people who have never used Flight Simulator, or those people who are trying to use it and can't seem to get a smooth flight. The first problem I had was learning how to control the throttle properly to maintain altitude. My altitude was all over the place, so this is going to be an easy way to show you how that's done. The first thing we're going to do is turn all the lights on and make sure that all the gauges look good. The nav1 is preset in Flight Simulator 2004 to the active runway that you select before you click the Fly Now button. So all those numbers are already dialed into the radios. All we have to do is fly. So let's get started. I'm going to advance the throttle and see what happens. I'm not going to touch the joystick. I'm just going to let the plane run down the runway by itself, and in a few seconds, about 80 knots or close to there, we should lift off the ground. Okay, we're airborne. All I did was advance the throttle and take my hands off the joystick, and we're climbing at a really good rate, maintaining probably somewhere around, looks like 75 to 80 knots. And now it's going to drop again, and it's going to continue to seesaw for just a minute here, back and forth, until we get a little altitude. We're almost at 1,000 feet now. So when I get close to 1,100, 1,200 feet, I'll pull the throttle back a little, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to pull the throttle back easy, just a little bit, just reduce the power, about halfway. That's about half throttle right there. Okay, you'll notice we're descending now a little bit, and we're dropping just below 0 on the vertical speed indicator, and now we're going back up a little. It'll seesaw just a second. It should stable out somewhere around 200-300 feet a second, 300 feet a minute. And once again, I haven't touched the joystick as far as pulling back or pushing forward. I'm letting the plane level itself out. And if you notice, our speed increased just a little bit. And what happens is, as your speed increases, your altitude will increase. So you'll get that seesaw motion. As you build speed, the plane wants to climb. And then it'll try to settle back down a little, and as you build a little more speed, it'll climb again. Okay, I'm going to pull the throttle back just a little more. You can see the throttle moving as I move down on the bottom right of the screen there. And we're leveling out pretty good. I'll pull back just a little more. And there we go. Okay, so without touching the joystick, but just using the throttle and slowly decreasing the throttle as we gain speed and climb, I'm able to get us just under 2,000 feet and I didn't take a lot of effort. All I did was adjust the throttle back as the speed increased. And we're settling in pretty good on the vertical speed. I'm going to come back just a little more. And that should be, we should hold about 1,700 feet right there without any problem. Okay, so let's make a low rate left-hand turn and see if we can maintain. Okay, notice during the turn I did have to hold up on the nose just a little bit, which is always going to happen, because as your wing dips, you lose lift. When you lose lift, the nose wants to fall. So you're going to have to hold back on the stick just slightly to keep that nose up in the air to keep the altitude good. The vertical speed will start to drop during the turn. You just have to hold back just slightly on that stick to keep the nose up. So that's looking pretty good. We took off and we didn't touch the joystick until we made our left-hand turn. I hope you can see what's happening. Speed is altitude. The more faster you go, the more the plane wants to climb. You have to find that balance point with the throttle where the plane doesn't want to climb anymore and you've reached the maximum speed that portion of the throttle will give you. If I increase the throttle, we'll gain more altitude. I can then pull it back a little and level it back out just by using the throttle. There's no need in pulling back and forth on the stick trying to keep that vertical speed indicator from moving. It's going to move up when you apply power. You have to decrease the power a little to get it to settle back down to zero. And we're looking really good now. Okay, the next tutorial we'll be landing with the throttle, and we'll start about 10 miles off our runway and apply our flaps and use our throttle to land with instead of a bunch of pulling and back and forth on the stick. So I'll see you there. Okay, welcome back to part 2 of this video. We're 10.8 nautical off our runway. We're going to make our left-hand turn here, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen. Okay, as you can see, we're about 1,400 feet. Vertical speed's holding pretty decent. We've made our left-hand turn in, and we'll make one more left-hand turn to turn on final. We're 11.3 out, and the needles are looking pretty good. The glide slope shouldn't start to drop till we get closer. We're waiting on that one needle in the middle to swing over, let us know that we're coming close to our runway. We'll turn in on our runway heading, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the glide slope. And the needle's moving now, so let's turn in. Okay, I'm going to chase the needle to the left, and when it starts swinging back right, then we'll turn back right to meet it. Okay, now we're watching for the glide slope. And when it starts to move down, we're going to throw the flaps on, slow down, and adjust our throttle to a slow descent. The object is to not drop too fast, but drop fast enough that we stay on the glide slope. And the whole time we're going to have to chase that center needle back and forth a little bit until we can actually see the runway. Okay, I can see the Vazzy lights on the left side of the runway up ahead, so I'm not really worried about that center needle anymore. I'm going to make sure that when that glide slope starts to drop, I get 10 degrees of flaps in pretty quick. And it looks like we're 5.8 out. Alright, that glide slope needle is dropping just a little bit as it gets closer to center. Somewhere along about now, we'll drop 10 degrees of flap. That's always going to pitch the nose up slightly every time you apply flap. But without touching our throttle, we've started to descend. And now we're going to go ahead and go flaps 20. Notice how we're staying on the glide slope. It's starting to overrun us just a little to the bottom, but the needle's picking up now, so we're doing pretty good. And we're 2.5 off, so I'm going to go ahead and pull flaps. So just by using the flaps, we're pretty much on the glide slope, and we've cut our airspeed to about 70. So we're looking pretty good. Okay, so from here on in, I'm just going to adjust the throttle if I need to work on the glide slope a little. So I'm just going to increase speed just a little and try to catch that line. And it's dropping, so I'm going to pull back on the throttle just a little. Notice the lights on the left side. We're doing pretty good. Increase just a little. And then decrease just a little. Just rocking it back and forth. And then we cut the engines at the threshold. Okay, I hope this shows you that the throttle is probably the most important tool you have. You can land without touching the joystick. You can take off without touching the joystick. The plane will pretty much fly itself, provided it has enough power to create lift and the right amount of power on landings to stay on the glide slope. Once you learn to follow those needles, and once you learn to adjust your throttle on landings, it just gets so much easier, and it's so much more enjoyable to fly because you get a smoother landing and a smoother takeoff, and you're not fighting the joystick trying to make the plane do what it doesn't want to do at the time. Let the plane pretty much fly itself, and you'll have a lot more fun. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be making some more in the future. Thank you.